Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom with our host, Bob Olson, who will now introduce today's show and speaker.
WCAT Radio presents I Thought You'd Like to Know This Too. This is our Friday edition of the Monday program, I Thought You'd Like to Know This. And this is a program with interesting people who may have a message for you. And today we have with us Joe Indelicato, who is from Rochester, New York. He is the board chairman emeritus of the St. John Bosco School and Chesterton Academy in Rochester. And welcome to our program, Joe.
Thank you.
Should I call you Joe, or?
That'd be great, Bob. That's great.
That's the best, okay. Now, the main thing we're going to talk about tonight is an arrangement that you have just concluded to enable your students to enter Holy Apostles Seminary and College here in Cromwell, Connecticut, at a reduced tuition while they're still in high school, online. And we're going to get to that in a moment, but I want to know a little bit about your background. You're a cradle Catholic, right?
Yes, I am.
And tell us a little bit about your how you were brought up as a Catholic.
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So my family, typical Italian Catholic family, church going, and we had good role models. I would not say overly churched, but we went to mass together on Sunday. Made sure my mom and dad made sure I took catechism. I went to public school for the first 8 years before I went to Catholic high school, so we had a very, very good, I guess they called them catechism back then, but CCD programs. And that was really always part of my life. And what I decided based on athletics to do was, in Brooklyn, if you were going to go to a Catholic high school and you lived in a residential area, you usually was involved with a 45-minute to an hour subway ride. So I took that plunge, paid my own tuition, and went to a school called Holy Trinity High School, which is now, like many of them, regretfully closed. And that made all the difference in my life because it took my awareness of Catholicism to a new level, both intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and that really just changed my life. And for a period of time upon graduation, I became a Marianist brother and taught school for a year or two as a Marianist brother, did my formation in Marcy, New York, in the University of Dayton. And those were very, very formative years for me. So that's sort of the beginning of my Catholicism.
Isn't that wonderful? I was talking to a priest the other day, interviewing him on the air, and he said that he went to a school in Massachusetts. It was a K-8 school, and he said it was the best school, of all these years now. He's been ordained a priest, but he said it was the best school that he's attended so far.
Huh.
And it's just great to have schools like that, huh?
And absolutely. I mean, one of the tragedies when I started becoming interested in what was going on in the church, I did a little study back at the late 90s and early 2000s, and discovered that in 1960-61, when I was in high school, there were 8 million high school students in the United States, 800,000 of whom went to Catholic high schools. So that 10% of the market share. And also found out that over 70% or 75% of the teachers were black. And then you fast forward to the year 2000, well, then you had 13 million high school students with only 650,000 going to a Catholic high school. So your market penetration, Bob, went from 10% to 5%, but in a more scary manner. Now the amount of people who were black instead of 75% were 5%, and most of them were, over 60 years of age. So the threat to that system, which helped so many of us grow in our faith and continue in our faith, was devastating. And so, and that's our task. That's why we're involved in schools. The task is to build that or rebuild that to whatever extent the Lord allows it as possible. So.
Now, what college or university you say you attended?
I didn't say that, but I did my undergraduate at the University of Dayton, which was a school run by the Marianists, which was also where we did our scholasticate. And
you mean Dayton in Ohio, right?
Dayton in Ohio. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get that straight. So how did that go?
Well, that was a good experience. I was a brother, and I was in a house of formation, so different than it is today. We were bused to the university. We went back to our community and lived a pretty monastic life, with the exception of the secular studies that we did at the university. So it was a good experience, very good experience.
Now, how did you get to Chesterton Academy then?
Well, we started in Rochester, New York, which is where I reside. A number of years ago, about 10 years ago, the bishop.
You were doing other things between Dayton and starting Chesterton, then?
Oh yeah, but when I graduated, I taught as a brother for a year or two. Then I left the brothers, and I had a career in education. So I taught school as a layperson in Catholic high schools, and was an athletic coach for 10 years. And then at a certain point in time, I went into business for myself, became a financial advisor, and that has been a good part of my career. And in that process, I started to revisit the whole idea of Catholic education. With the statistics that I shared with you, Bob, about the high schools, we created a foundation called the Catholic Education Foundation, whose objective was to support and provide scholarships and support Catholic high schools. And we had, it's been a small foundation, but we've helped a number of students have the access to a Catholic education, Catholic high school, that may not have had that opportunity at all. So that was our interest, and it was primarily high school. And then at the point where we were, the bishop in Rochester closed 13 elementary schools in 1 year. And so those of us who made up the board of the Catholic Education Foundation prayed a lot and were led to start an elementary school, which we call St. John Bosco. We opened the school within 30 days of our deciding to do that, and now the school is completing its 9th year, and we'll shortly have our 10th anniversary. And it started small, and it's still small. We have 150 students in there. And then as the kids grew from kindergarten through the 5th grade, which was our first group, then we started a middle school, still St. John Bosco. And then we started a high school, which then became Chesterton Academy. We've been friends with Dale Alquist, who of the Chesterton fame, and he. Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly, and he started our Chesterton Academy in Minnesota, where he lives. And we sort of, for our high school, we tagged on to them and became a franchise of Chesterton Academy in Minnesota. And we just are about to have our first graduate from that high school. So that's how we started with pre-K through 5, added a middle school, and now we added the high school, which is Chesterton Academy. Total enrollment is about 150 kids. We own a building, which we didn't start owning at the beginning. and we use an approach called classical education. So we've the classical education approach we find to be tremendous because kids, as a result of that, delve into the mysteries of the classics of the world, Western civilization. They read primary sources, and as a result of that academically, although that's not our prime purpose is the salvation of their souls and education. But on average, the kids in Chesterton Academy are 3 to 4 grades ahead of the standardized test around the country. So our fifth graders are reading at an 8th or 9th grade level and doing math in the same basis. So we're very proud of the school and how it's grown. And that's Chesterton Academy. And we then were introduced through another friend of mine. I don't know if you know Dr. Peter Redpath, but he runs...
oh, yeah. I've interviewed him, too.
Oh, have you? Good.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, we met each other later in life, but we both played for the same baseball team a couple of years apart in Brooklyn, St. Bernardine.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got to know each other well. But he introduced us to Sebastian, and over a year or so we were poking around with ways to do it, and Sebastian developed his program that is unbelievable because Holy Apostles is one of the 20 or 22 colleges that the Newman Society say are authentically Catholic. That was very in sync with our mission to have Orthodox Catholicism. So now, because of that, our kids, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and it depends on them and the parents in terms of how quickly they want to go, but it is possible for a kid to go full throttle to take distance learning, but also courses that are mapped with our own Chesterton Academy curriculum from Holy Apostles. It's even possible by a summer after graduation for them to have completed 60 credits in with an associate's degree. And not everybody's going to work that hard, but with an associate's degree. And for the entire course of those 60 credits, because of the discounts that Holy Apostles through their Take Credit program gives us, they could get 60 credits that will be applied for $6,400, which is amazing.
Wow.
I mean, absolutely amazing. And then they're transferable to Holy Apostles, but when we introduced it, we talked to 5 local colleges, and they will all accept the credits. They will all accept. So a local Rochester school, somebody can take 60 credits at Holy Apostles, pay $6,400, transfer 60 credits, and then take 2 years at whatever their full tuition is. So
wow.
We're very, 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 very excited about that and what that could bring for the future.
I would think. What about what's the difference between the curriculum of Chesterton Academy versus a public school and traditional Catholic schools?
Well, for public school, it's an integrated curriculum. So, for example, the literature in you divide your curriculum by periods in history. So in the first year you have Greek civilization. In the second year you have Roman civilization, Middle Ages, the Renaissance. Then you go right through modernity. So in any one of those years, and then you repeat it as the kids get older. So you repeat it. In any one year, Bob, the kids are going to be reading the literature of that period, studying the history of that period, studying the religion of that period, and they're doing it in a holistic, integrated way. It's a whole different approach to learning. It's much like the way kids used to learn 150 years ago, before John Dewey came to America and screwed up our educational system
That's right.
Yeah, and then he developed pragmatism, and their philosophy was atheism at the very root of it. This is just the exact opposite. So it's different clearly from public schools because that's old John Dewey. It's different from a lot of schools that consider themselves Catholic. A lot of the schools that don't do classical education, what they do is they add a religion course to public school curriculum, and they call it Catholic. And that doesn't cut it. That really doesn't cut it. So that's, for example, I don't know, your listeners or yourself, Bob, been aware of the conflicts going on with Common Core? But
I've heard about it, yeah. I'm not that familiar with it.
Common Core is an attempt by the federal government the last couple of years to mandate a certain curriculum. And that curriculum was very pragmatically oriented. And it sort of caused a huge row. Parents are very upset about it in many cases. The positive, or they try to sell it as improving people's skills over time and making it tough on that, but it has become tough on teachers, and it has become tough on students, and it's had no soul. So it's very controversial around the country. In fact, it's a political issue on the national scene. When they mandated in Rochester, New York, that all kids in Catholic schools and public schools get involved in the Common Core, the day that happened, our enrollment increased by 35%. People came to us specifically because of their not wanting to be involved in Common Core, and people came from other Catholic schools. So that gives you an idea of how powerful the curriculum is, and how it can draw people for the right reasons.
Well, I certainly remember outcome-based education. Was when I still had my radio station up in Upper Michigan. We dealt with a lot of things like that were happening, which was not a good thing either. I mean, that was kind of the start of it almost. It started way back with Dewey, like you said.
Yeah, probably. Everything gets, there's nothing new under the sun, so things continue and grow. But that's...
wow, that Common Core, that sounds bad.
Well, it's bad for a lot of reasons, but the interesting thing is the parents intuitively knew. I mean, the growth of our school in any one year came when everybody felt the mandate of Common Core. And in our diocese, they still required it. And they didn't get the picture. So, anyway, that's...
Well, that kind of answers the question, why would a student or parent choose Chesterton Academy?
Right. And then, to boot, we're so excited about the deal with Holy Apostles. For a kid to be able... to go through our kind of education and then have that... We've always wanted to be able to replicate what we do through high school for college. And if they went straight through, right to, and got their BA from Holy Apostles, which is also a possible outcome, the purity of that Catholic orthodoxy, along with the intellectual traditions of Western civilization, studying original sources. I wish I was going to school again.
Yeah.
I wish I had that opportunity.
Sounds great.
So, we're excited about that, almost as excited as I am about the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah, right. But this is this the first then for high school children?
First from what perspective.
I mean, from the standpoint that are you the first school that is going to take advantage of that?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's what Dr. Mahfoud told me, that we are the first. He has some homeschooling programs that are taking advantage of it, but we are the first full-fledged school that are taking advantage of it. Yep.
It seems to me a while back, a few months ago, I was interviewing someone, and they were saying that that was going to be a possibility, but I don't know if they had actually, so they haven't really done it yet. So you're breaking ground.
We snuck in there.
Really?
Well, the people,
so, So I didn't realize that Dale Alquist lived in Minnesota, and that was the original Chesterton Academy then?
Yes. Yeah. He all the work he's done with all his work he's done in promoting Chesterton, both in terms of readings and literature and his annual conferences. But he finally wanted to decided to do a high school, and built a wonderful model for us, for everybody. And
where is that located? Where is that located?
I think in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, okay.
Yeah, I think in Minneapolis, and that's great. I don't know. Do you know? Have you did you watch any of the Chesterton shows on EWTN?
Yes, and I work with the lay association of the Society of the Missionaries of Holy Apostles here, and we did the series by Bishop Barron.
Yes.
Called The Pivotal Players, and he did a beautiful piece on Chesterton.
Well, and Dale has just brought him to life in a sector.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And do you, the actor...
No, why don't you... Oh, go ahead.
The actor that plays Chesterton on his show sometimes?
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Well, his name is Chuck Schaberg. And we've had Chuck up here to do his Chesterton imitations. It's been wonderful.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
And you and I have gotten to know each other, and I have a one-track mind. There are two things besides my family in life, and one is baseball and the church. And Chuck Schaberg plays a lot of characters, Chesterton being maybe the main one, but he also does a hell of an impression and does a hell of a show on Branch Rickey, who is the general manager.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
And as you know, he's the general manager that brought Jackie Robinson into baseball.
Right. So
when he comes to Rochester, the town lights up. So it's and what a way to get an immersion in. I mean, Chesterton was so great in terms of how he handled people and handled conflict. The great line that I love of Chesterton was when he defines a progressive. And in political days today, they forgot they're not liberals anymore; they're progressives. And Chesterton says, "Oh, what a progressive is. Progressivism is a comparative without a superior." I mean, he's just so clever, and to get him into the minds of our kids early on, and his sort of 100 years ago being the prophet that he was and understanding where the world was going and how he handled it, and to see our kids sort of just glom onto that and be able to handle themselves intellectually through that lens is it's just great. I mean, it's just a great thing. So,
listen to this one. Angels can fly because they take themselves lightly.
Love it.
That's one of his themes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
How about this one? To have a right to do a thing is not at all the same as to be right in doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. is so clever. I mean, his stuff is, keep going. I love them.
Men do not differ much about what things they will call evils. They differ enormously about what evils they will call excusable.
Yeah. God, so you have it right in front of you.
Yeah. Well, I have the book that Bishop Barron sent out on the pivotal players, and he was selected as one of the pivotal players.
Who else? Who
else did he have in there?
Yeah.
He had St. Francis. Let's see, where are we? He had St. Francis, St. Thomas Aquinas, of course, St. Catherine of Siena, Blessed John Henry Newman, G.K. Chesterton, Michelangelo. Oh, the Michelangelo one was beautiful, too.
Okay. So,
that's a great thing. Those pivotal players, beautiful scenes in there, and I thought Bishop Barron did a wonderful job with that.
That's great. I haven't had the pleasure.
The thing that I was impressed with Chesterton was his ideas about orthodoxy and the concept of paradox.
Yeah, he's a master.
Chesterton constantly makes statements that seem contradictory or run counter to our expectations. However, there is a scriptural precedent for paradox. You deal with that much?
What?
You deal with that much? I mean, in the teachings and that about his thoughts on paradox.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
That's where Chesterton. I mean, he just shines in so many areas. But the greatest paradox, of course, is our Lord. So, that's right. That's a great model. So, are you familiar with a book called Mr. Blue?
Oh yeah. In fact, I just talked to. I just interviewed last week. I just interviewed Mariachi.
Okay.
Dr. Mariachi.
Okay.
He has the introductions in there and that.
Yeah, that's.
I haven't read it yet. I want to get Dr. Blue, and then I want to get his other book. What was the man's name again?
The author, you mean?
Yeah, the author was a former Hollywood director.
Yeah, Miles Connolly was his name.
Yeah. What was his second book then?
I don't know a second book. I mean,
I've got it written down somewhere, so I want to get those books. But what were you going to say about Mr. Blue?
Well, it was you were mentioning St. Francis and Thomas Aquinas, and The Great Gatsby was written, and the book by Fitzgerald was written.
Oh yes.
Sorry, and it was J. Gatsby, and that was written in let's say 1925. Chesterton wrote his Life of St. Francis, I think, a year prior to that. And then they wrote Gatsby, and then Connolly wrote, let's say, I think it was 1928, wrote Mr. Blue. And Mr. Blue is like the antithesis of J. Gatsby. So when you get to reading the book, they call him J. Blue. And he's a modern mystic. So you had Chesterton writing about the poverty of St. Francis, and then you had Fitzgerald talking about the riches in the modern times of Gatsby, and then you have Connolly talking about the contemporary poverty of spirit of Mr. Blue, and it flows so beautifully together. We read Mr. Blue in high school, and it died, and then it came
Wow.
So
Right.
Yeah, those are the things that kids can take away from a good educational experience that will stay with them forever.
Well, we have a couple of young people that I think they did. I think they did distance learning at Holy Apostles, and they have a program on our station now called The Lost Voice, and they talk about how they're doing work with youth groups and teaching in the local schools there in St. Paul and Minneapolis, and bringing people like Chesterton and St. Thomas Aquinas and bringing it to the young people that had never heard about it before, and they talk about how well the children accept it.
Now, are they affiliated with Chesterton?
I don't know. I don't know. I should check on that. They never mentioned it, I don't think. But then I never talked to them too many times, and I haven't been able to hear the program too much. But I should check on that with them.
What's the name of the group?
I don't know if they have a name, but they call the radio program that we have The Lost Voice.
Lost Voice.
In other words, people like, I was talking to, interviewing a fellow in Denver, and he went 3 years at one of the Catholic colleges there, and he never heard the name St. Thomas ever mentioned.
Really?
Never heard his name there in the 3 years he was there.
Huh. Sorry, let me.
So there's you're on a wonderful path right now, huh?
Well, as long we really love the fact that the kids are growing, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for the kids, and that's what it's all about, to give them the benefit of just the kind of education which fosters faith and fosters critical thinking and fosters ability to dialogue, debate in a positive way. It's just terrific. God has given us a blessing, so we just
really.
It's our obligation.
Now, what's this about a Chesterton Academy network?
Well, that's there are. Let me see. I actually have on my desk some information about that. Dale Alquist had the first one. We were interested in piggybacking off Dale, so we contacted him, and apparently we weren't the only one that contacted him. So I think there are up to 5 or 6 schools. I know there's one in Buffalo, New York, which is not too far from us. There's the one. I'm just scratching with some paper, so forgive me. And there's a one. Oh, here it is. So you have right now. You have Chesterton Academy of Buffalo, Chesterton Academy of the Holy Family, which is in Grove, Illinois, Downers Grove, Illinois, Chesterton Academy of Omaha, Chesterton Academy of Rochester at St. John Bosco School, St. Thomas Aquinas School in Warren, Massachusetts, Bishop Baraga Catholic High School in Michigan, Iron Mountain, Michigan, Chesterton Academy of Milwaukee, Regina.
Did you say there's one in Iron Mountain?
Iron Mountain, yes.
Wow. Well, see, that was my stopping grounds for the radio station up there.
Okay, it's Bishop Baraga Catholic High School.
Baraga, yeah. Right.
And then there's actually one then there's one in Philadelphia, and then there's one in Italy, in San Benedetto del Tronto, Italy, that opened in 2000.
Wow.
So it's gaining traction.
So where were you along the line? You said Dale had the first one in Minnesota?
Yes. And I think we were maybe second or third.
Wow.
In line.
Beautiful. And they're coming. And is this all Dale's work in organizing this network?
Yes, in Chesterton Academy. Yeah, and he provides, and we work with it, but he provided a basic curriculum that seemed to go well with our classical curriculum, and so we did that. And we modified it to go along with our curriculum, and there's some modification now in terms of our relationship with Holy Apostles. But they, if you looked at the Catholic faith at the center
Take advantage of Feldman Heating and
curriculum,
Cooling's flexible financing and stay warm without breaking the bank.
then you have language, history, literature, philosophy, theology, math, science, fine arts are all the extenders there for the Catholic faith. So the Catholic faith is the center of that, and those are the courses that add on to, or not add on to, but are extended from the Catholic faith. It's interesting. So, for example, in the freshman year of Chesterton Academy, the world is the ancient world. That's the period, the ancient world.
Right.
So the literature read then are Homer, Sophocles, Virgil, and G.K. Chesterton orthodoxy. History, they study early civilization, Greece and Rome. Philosophy, they study pre-Socratics, introduction to Plato and Aristotle, formal logic and rhetoric. Theology, Old Testament, and we're introducing the theology of the body across the religion spectrum in all 4 years. John Paul II's theology of the body.
Right.
Then you have language in the first year is Latin. Math, they have an algebra boot camp, Euclidean geometry, analytical geometry, and so on. Fine arts and music. So that would be an example of the things that are covered curriculum-wise.
Do you have guest speakers come in?
From time to time, yeah.
Okay. I know you mentioned you had that actor in.
Yeah. Any suggestions?
Well, no, but did you ever have Christopher West?
We never had Christopher West, no.
He is just outstanding with his theology of the body.
Okay. Yeah.
His talk just blew me away when I first heard it.
I think, yeah, and we're using some of his work, and we're using the Everett couple, EVERT.
Oh, yeah.
They're in that. Yeah. No, but if you have any suggestions for guest speakers, I'd love to.
I was just noticed. I saw your article in the Rochester paper about the new partnership. It says the new partnership is aimed at helping some local students with their college expenses.
Yeah.
Families at Chesterton Academy gathered Monday evening to learn more about the program. Students with a 3-point GPA and a recommendation from the school can take online courses offered by Holy Apostles. The Connecticut-based college is offering the online courses at a 1/3 the normal tuition rate, which generates to $320 for a 3-credit course.
Right.
And Sebastian was there, said, we believe that a debt-free graduate is a gift to the church. What we want to produce in this country is a renaissance in Catholic liberal arts education.
Yeah.
And it says admissions officers from Roberts Wesleyan, St. John Fisher, the College of Brockport, Sunny Oswego, and Niagara learn more about the program from Dr. Mahfoud as well.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that the only vehicle beyond Holy Apostles for kids that choose not to, for whatever reason, choose not to finish their bachelor's at Holy Apostles, we wanted to make sure that the local colleges would accept the credits, those first 60 credits, and that's why we brought them together, and they were thrilled about it. They didn't see it as a conflict; they saw it as an enrichment. So
Wow.
And Dr. Mahfoud, has as you know, a national network. So we're reaching out to all the colleges and to try to get them to agree. Because the way Dewey sort of set it up for us is his purpose of education was to get a job, vocational, and that's important. But he lost the whole, the underpinning of our humanity and our spirituality. And I always thought the ideal way would be for your first 2 years of college, and in our case, high school, college, to learn the humanities and to learn the spiritualities and civilization, where you're not worried about the pragmatic aspect of vocation, career earning vocation. And then after that, you go to a professional school. And so 2 years of good, solid education, and then professional education should come later. And that's why we like the model with Holy Apostles, because that enables us to do that.
Now, St. John Bosco School, is that a set with K?
It's right now it's pre-K through 8.
Pre-K through 8, and then, like you say, you have a middle. You have 6, 7, and 8 is the middle school. Huh?
Yeah, 6, 7, and 8. So we opened it up. When we opened it up, we were pre-K through 5, and then we expanded. And then we added the middle school.
Wow, this has to be the most exciting thing that you ever worked with, huh?
Absolutely the most meaningful. I mean, it just to say that God inspired a couple of us 10 years ago, going on 10 years, and to see that now it's part of the woodwork in this town, and 150 kids now are in our school, and
wow.
I don't know. The high school stands to get a little bigger, but we're happy with the enrollment.
Now, did you say you had your first graduation?
We are next week. Our first high school student is graduating.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
That's
wow.
It's an interesting ride, but it's a long ride. To start from open the school in 30 days and 10 years later, we have a meaningful path through for a college degree, all good, solid Catholic stuff with strong humanities background.
Any skeptics?
Are there skeptics? There are always skeptics along the way. Fortunately, they've been worn down over time. It's pretty hard to, even from a secular standpoint, to look at an education that, from a secular point of view, has the kids performing 3 to 4 years ahead of their peers in an academic way that has spirituality attached to that, and then they could get a college education, the first half of which could cost all of $6,400.
That's something.
I mean, it's almost too good to be true, right?
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. Did you mentioned about your high school in Brooklyn? That was such a great experience. Did that have anything to do with your, thinking when you set up that? What did you call the first group that you set up?
You mean
the
Catholic education?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was huge. I mean, that was the most meaningful thing. You know Tom Monahan, the Domino's Pizza guy?
Yeah. Right.
Well, he was a speaker at one of our dinners.
Okay.
And he had a great line, I thought. He said, "I grew up as an Irish Catholic. Now I'm a Catholic Irishman." And that
I like that.
that fine distinction, and I'm similar. That he said that I grew up as an Italian Catholic, and now I try to be a Catholic Italian. And
I like that.
So that my high school brought me so close to the faith in a way that I had never been before. That it was the most meaningful experience in my life. And when I discovered what was going on with Catholic high schools, in terms of the devolution of the participation, whatever your politics are or aren't, you just go through the public personalities that have gone through Catholic high school, and even look at our Supreme Court. Most of which are 5 of which are Catholic, and I think 2 or 3 of them. Justice Scalia went to Xavier High School, a Jesuit high school in New York City that used to be a military-based high school. We used to call them the subway cops. They would get on the subway train going to school in their dress uniforms. But again, you be careful of your politics to get the wrong. But Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, even Chris Matthews on the other side, all graduated from Catholic high schools. And so the Catholic high school experience is very important. And when I saw that going down the tubes, I said, we need to try to do something about that. And so that did have an important part of my thinking in
Wonderful.
setting that up.
So what's in the future?
God knows. We want to get this Holy Apostle thing up and running, and very, very part of it. Very much part of it.
That'll start next year then, huh?
We're gonna. Sebastian did a great job at that evening that you read about in the newspaper class.
Yeah.
People were very, very excited, and just one of the parents who now is he's retired from his main occupation. He serves as both athletic director and dean of discipline, which is a good combination. He came up and he says, after this whole thing, he says, my son is going to go take this program. And
wow.
The work God bless you for what you're doing on the radio, and I'm just learning about this station and the kinds of guests you have on and the kinds of information you try to bring in front of people. God bless you. We need that. We really need that.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. No, this is phenomenal. I know Sebastian, Dr. Mahfoud, is a very good friend of yours. But he speaks highly of you and the work. And you were involved with the group that were the founders of Holy Apostles?
Well, I'm working with them now. I actually was called on to start a lay association. They didn't have a lay association, so that we're in the process of that now. And so that was one of my. They were the founders. They founded it in the 50s. Holy Apostles was founded in the 50s.
How did that come to be? Do you know?
Well, there was a Franciscan monk, Father Menard, who was in Canada, in Montreal, okay. And he came up with this idea of late vocations, and there wasn't much of that going on. He said, it's a shame that we can't use some of the experiences and of these older folks that still could be priests. And so he wanted to start a seminary in the U.S. And so he had this fellow that he knew. He was a brother, too. He was a brother, not a priest. And he had experience in selling property in that. He was in real estate. It was before he became a brother. And so he asked him to go down to the U.S. and go to New York and see if they could find some property there close to the big city, so that they could beg for food there and so forth. But there was nothing in New York. Then he went into New Jersey. He couldn't find anything in New Jersey. And so the man in New York says, why don't you go up around Hartford, Connecticut? That's a big city. And so he sent him up there, and he found this property, and I think he got it and he didn't have much, Father Menard didn't have much money to give him or anything, so I think he got the property for about half the asking price.
Well,
and that's how this seminary got started.
And is it still primarily a late vocation thing?
They're kind of getting away from that a little bit. Right now, they have a number of Vietnamese students, a number of Vietnamese seminarians. So they're working. See, they have. They're in Peru. They're in Vietnam now. They're in Canada, of course. And this order, the missionaries of Holy Apostles.
Okay.
But it's been a really work of love,
There was,
to build this place too.
About a couple of weeks ago, I was watching Marcus Grodi's program.
And a priest was on there. Did you see Father Skip? Father Skip Thompson?
Yeah, exactly. He mentioned it.
He's one of the first. He's one of the first young seminarians to come into the missionaries. He is from California. Actually, he had been in a Baptist seminary in St. Paul, and when he was back home in California, he wandered into a monastery. He had been a Catholic. His mother was a Catholic, but he kind of got away from the church. And he was at this Baptist seminary, and he wandered into this monastery, and the monks, he rapped at the door because he loved this little trail that was going up in the mountains. And so he knocked on the door, and they said, come on, pray with us. Well, we want you to pray with us. And so that was the start of his conversion to the Catholic Church, and now he's a dynamite priest.
Yeah, he really seems like very personable.
Yep. He was pretty impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was very impressive. He had my attention. And he was.
Well, I think we're reaching the end here.
All right. Well, this.
And any other thoughts about? We talked a little bit about the Dodgers. We don't want to talk too much about them, but being that you grew up in Brooklyn.
Well, there's a great book by the name of "And God Said Play Ball," and and I think the author's last name is Graff, Graf. And we actually had him up here. Every one of his chapters, he has 18 chapters or something like that. Every one of his chapters is the top half of an inning, the bottom half of an inning, and he has
that.
And he has scripture quotes
that
are relative to what he's trying to say, and where baseball and the New Testament and the Old Testament converge. Really very interesting. So it brings the two together. Baseball.
God says play baseball.
And God said play ball.
Play ball, yeah.
Then he did a book on football, and God said it is good, talking about a field goal.
Wow.
So that
it's been great. And this Graff,
yeah. I think he's on the West Coast.
Okay. That sounds good. I'll work on that. What's his first name?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. I'll find him. I'll Google him.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Joe Indelicato, it was just great having you with us and telling us about this history-making program that you just are entering into with the Holy Apostles College and Seminary in Connecticut for Chesterton Academy in Rochester, New York.
All right, and thank you for airing this and having us. And I invite you and anybody interested in your audience to visit us. And
that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, so we're open. Just contact me. And
beautiful.
And then I'd like to visit you at Holy Apostles in the future. So, but thank you.
And I told Bob Ingracio that he should be on your board. So.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Okay, good. All right.
We're working.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much. We've been talking to Joe Indelicato, who is the board chairman emeritus of the St. John Bosco School and Chesterton Academy in Rochester, New York. They just concluded an arrangement to enable his high school students to enter Holy Apostles College and Seminary at a reduced tuition even while they're still in high school. And we will be back again with another program next week, same time, same station. And in the meantime, may God bless each and every one of you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
God bless you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.